What's up, everybody? And today we're checking out survival in a combat environment become deadly in the mountains. This is by the legendary Grand Thumb. Listen, there is an interesting intersection here of military content and bushcraft survival. And that Venn diagram, in my real life, I sit right in the middle. I love survival, bushcraft, the wilderness. I love all this stuff. So much so that I actively participate in that to this day with my kids out in nature. In fact, actually, saying that, the Bushcraft Show 2026 is going to be happening in about 2 weeks. And I'm going to be there here in the UK. I think it's the biggest bushcraft festival in the UK, actually. You see the likes of incredible figures like Ray Mears, who I grew up watching, which he's like the granddad of bushcraft here in the UK. Ray Mears, if you ever watched any of his shows back in the day, fantastic. But people like him are there. They give talks and stuff, and there's a lot of other people with the bushcraft community that are there, and a lot of ex-military. Last year when I went, I saw a lad in a absolutely decked out Land Rover that was obviously like an expedition Land Rover that became a tent, and he had a massive flag with the para regiment on the top. Absolutely sick. You meet some incredible people. If you're going to the Bushcraft Show, keep an eye out for me. Come and say hi. I will be with my kids, so don't come bounding over. Otherwise, I'll be ready for some combat. But definitely come and say hi, and I will give you a kind of morale. You'll see me. I'll be in my van. We'll have a fire. My dad will be there, ex-Royal Navy. My kids will be there, and we can enjoy a drink around the fire together if you see me there, okay? I'm very, very excited. I've been excited to watch this video. What actually happened? This is not a video that I was recommended. I was sat down last night chilling, and I saw this video come up, and I was about to start watching it because I love watching Grand Thumb. I think he's phenomenal. He does incredible content, and he's one of my favorite YouTubers. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to watch this on my channel. It's a long video. It's an hour long. And so I don't know whether I'm going to watch the whole thing or whether I'm going to watch half of it and split it up. You will know with this title. If this title says part 1, you will know that I've split this up. If it doesn't, then I've just done the whole thing and I've enjoyed the whole thing. Okay, guys? And if you do want me to watch the whole thing, if it's only part of it, or if you want me to watch more of this stuff, which I would love to do, like, subscribe, turn on notifications, comment down below. It would mean the world to me. We're very, very close to 600,000 subscribers, and I want to kind of edge more into this outdoor survival content, both through watching the videos and actually going making the content myself. Before we get started though, check out Chug, 10% off, link down below. I'll be taking mine to the Bushcraft Show, sitting around the fire, drinking a morale, and at night, when the kids are asleep, drinking a couple of crisp, cold beverages out of my Chug. 10% off, link down below, free customization, ships to America. This is one of them bits of kit where if you buy it once, it'll last you a lifetime. So get yourself one of these, handmade here in the UK using sustainable materials. Fantastic bit of kit. And also, obviously, I love the outdoors. Morale, my new business that I made, took me 2 years to develop this drink. It is now out live in the UK. Please support it by going over to the website. And if you're not in the UK, go over to the Instagram at Drink Morale and follow. It would mean the world to me if we can boost that up and get more people outside. That's the whole goal of that drink. We've been chatting for a long time. I am so ready for this video. Grand Thumb injected into me veins. Look at the quality of this. Incredible quality. Goes Leatherman out. The quality of this is like watching Band of Brothers become deadly in the mountains. I also want to quickly say, before we carry on with this, I am making more vlogs, and this weekend I'm hoping it gets released this weekend. I'm going up to the Mac Loop with my best mate. We're going to be watching some aircraft fly by. I'm going to vlog the whole thing, so stay tuned for that. Drinking the water off it. I love this. Let's go. I'm so excited for this video. Chapter 1, Introduction. Very, very excited.
Time and time again has proven that ultimately it all comes down to you. And it might seem crazy, it might seem fear-mongering to talk about this type of stuff, to learn this type of information. And yet, throughout time in history, very recent history in fact, people have found themselves in some very tough situations.
It's true.
The craziest thing to me about combat survival is that oftentimes it occurs after evasion. And from watching the evasion video or beginning the evasion video, you know how intense and how brutal evasion can be.
Yeah.
It can last for hours, it can last for weeks, it can last for months. But many individuals throughout history have found themselves evading from enemy forces. And once they've evaded from those enemy forces, suddenly they find themselves either so far in civilization in order to lose their invaders, or sometimes they find themselves so far in the wilderness due to trying to lose whoever's pursuing them that suddenly, after weeks, after months of evasion, they have to survive now. But it's not just survival,
We did do survival training in the Royal Marines, and it was actually one of my favorites, again, because I've got that love for bushcraft. I feel like it just kind of, it stems into the military, doesn't it? And I feel like there's a big overlap there between the bushcraft community and the military community because, yeah, escape and invasion happens. The moment you escape, you're surviving. Think about that pilot that just got downed in Iran. Like, he escaped, and luckily for him, he wasn't out there too long, but it was very quickly going to become a survival situation. He had injuries. So it's really prevalent.
combat survival because there's still an element of being hunted. They could still run into enemy forces. People have oftentimes evaded to where they thought their front lines were of their own forces, just like we talked about in this little intro right here, and their forces had to retreat due to being compromised. There are so many scenarios where combat survival can play a role. It can be something as simple as everything shuts down in your country. Foreign forces invaded, and suddenly you're just merely surviving to keep your family alive. Don't let the time that you are finally learning and practicing this stuff be when you're looking at your family as they're starving, as they don't have any water, or God help you, just for yourself, when you're just trying to keep yourself alive, because it is a brutal situation.
I do want to preface this by saying the other day I watched his video of navigation. A lot of the stuff, as someone who was in the Royal Marines, is kind of regurgitated. I already know quite a lot of that stuff already. But Garantham, I don't know what his real name is an expert in navigation. And his video, his extensive video on navigating all sorts of different terrain has got to be one of the best videos I've seen on you. Like, I've got full body goosebumps at how good this is. This information is free here on this platform. And so we really have to praise content creators like this to get that information out, because people will pay thousands and thousands of pounds for this type of information, and it's completely free here on YouTube. That blows my mind.
The world is brutal. The world is violent. And nobody cares.
It's true.
The only person that is going to save you is going to be yourself. But before we get into it, we do have to thank our sponsors. They do allow us to make this content for free, to bring it to you at no cost to yourselves. So we have a big thank you to the Sonoran Desert Invasion.
I'm gonna skip the sponsors. If you know, you know. Unfortunately, I can't show other people's sponsors on my channel. Unfortunately.
Resistance and escape instructor. This is literally what I taught
All right,
to a variety of survival video. I served 9 years active duty in the military. I did 6 of those years as a survival, evasion, resistance, and escape instructor. This is literally what I taught to a...
He's obviously, his knowledge is so... I mean, I gathered that from watching his navigation video, that obviously this is his speciality. He does all the weapons training stuff, the weapons videos, and I think he likes that just as much. But you can tell when he made that navigation video, when he makes these types of videos, you can tell that this is really what he's passionate about. I watched that video here on the channel, actually, of him doing like a city escape if you had to like get out of a city real quick. I watched it on this channel. It was really good. You could just tell by the way he holds himself and he talks in these particular videos that this is his bread and butter. This is his literal bread and butter. I'd love for him to come to the UK and go to like the bushcraft show or something like that and do a talk, whether that be on survival, on bushcraft, or whether that be escape and evasion or navigation. His knowledge is just phenomenal.
Variety of people. I've also, in addition to that, spent an inordinate amount of time at civilian survival schools from Montana to across the pond, everywhere, from a variety of individuals, from your Israeli specialists in desert survival to your crazy Norwegians. I've learned it all, and
Wow.
I'm very thankful for all those people who have taught me. After that, I served as a TAC-P, as a special warfare officer within TAC-P.
All right. I don't know whether I keep pausing it a lot here. It's going to take us a long time to get through this video. I don't know whether Garantham watching these videos. If you're watching this video, I'm talking to you right now. If you're watching this video, the amount of knowledge you have is phenomenal. It's amazing. And listen, you might be like me and a lot of other military lads. I don't know whether it's true, and I'm throwing it out there. I have a bit of dyslexia. I have a bit of ADHD. Maybe I'm on the spectrum. I don't know. But there's obviously a barrier there when it comes to academics for me and a lot of other military people. I'm not saying that that's you. It could be. However, with that all being said, you have to write a book. You have to write a book. If you're watching this with your navigation skills and your survival skills and your escape and invasion, you have to write a book. He might have already done it, but if he hasn't, if you're watching this, get on it right now. All right? I'll buy that shit straight away.
So, done this a lot. This is what I lived and breathed for a long time, and I've taught a whole lot of people. Combat survival, the thing that you have to realize about it is you're doing what you've always done. You need to keep yourself at 98.6. You've been doing it your entire life without you knowing. You've been drinking water, you've been eating food, you've been keeping yourself clean. The only thing that we're doing here is we're going to modify a lot of your behaviors, a lot of things you do, of course, in relation to food and water, to ensure that we can survive long term. The best way I could describe it is when we're talking survival, even combat survival, all I'm doing is I'm getting you to a level of what like an 11-year-old was like in 1830. In 1830, an 11-year-old could start a fire in the rain, he could skin animals, he could do all that stuff. In this industrialized society that we live in the United States and elsewhere throughout the world, we've lost a lot of these critical skills.
True.
Because they're not as pertinent to us, and that's
That is so true. This is why my children, who are homeschooled, by the way, the only school they go to twice a week is forest school. They are 7 and 5, so they're still quite young. When it comes to the teenage years and they need to learn more academic stuff, we're going to cross that boundary. We're going to cross that road when we get to it. But right now, they need to be outside as much as possible. My son and my daughter, my 5-year-old daughter, they can go in my garden and start a fire using a spark rod. They can go and do that. They can go down the path of a trail and name fungi on the floor. That's Amanita muscaria. That's a Russell. That's a bolete. They can name it. They can name the trees. That's an oak. That's a European beech tree. That's a maple tree. That's a holly bush. That's a rowan. Like they know the words of things. That's so important. I urge you, if you have children, get them outside and learn as much as possible about the outdoors. It is fundamental to being a good human, in my opinion.
okay. What we're going to do in this video is relearn them and also apply them to a survival and combat situation. So today we're going to be touching on 5 main things. So there are 5 things that you need to stay alive in a combat survival scenario. So first thing we're going to be talking about today is going to be health. How to keep yourself healthy, how to treat wounds, how to stay alive. Things that you guys already know. Next we'll be talking about personal protection. That is going to be how to build a shelter, both improvised, both using natural stuff to keep yourself out of the elements. We'll be learning how to make a fire in a combat situation so you're not spotted, and then we'll be talking about our equipment and how to care for it. Next up after that, we have sustenance. We're going to be talking about gathering water, different methods, and of course, food as well, natural plants and animals. After that, we'll talk comms and signaling as necessary, and finally, travel, which we'll be touching upon lightly. That will be a further video where we'll really delve into it.
Okay. Health. Numero uno, health.
So first thing that we need to do is going to be health. A survival situation can start in so many different ways, but one of the things I've always taught people is if we were, coming back from a patrol in a vehicle and the vehicle rolls, or you're shot at and you evade and finally you get a second to just catch your breath. One thing I've always taught you guys, and my military guys probably already know, it's going to be a blood sweep. So I've just gotten away from gunfire. A lot of times their adrenaline's pumping, and the question is going to be, was I hit? Do I have a scratch? Is there something bleeding that I need to stop and take care of immediately?
I want to actually add to this. If you're with other people, obviously, I think he's talking more like you're on your own here and you've got to survive. But if you're with other people, I want you to start implementing what is called the buddy-buddy system. We absolutely hammer this in the Royal Marines, where you do a blood sweep, you're checking yourself over. You're checking yourself and making sure that there's no damage. If there is immediate damage, tourniquets, Israeli bandages, all these other things that you can do to do that. That's cool. Once you've taken care of yourself and you've had a look around, go up to your mate, go up to your oppo, buddy-buddy system it's called, check him over. Make sure that he's got no scrapes or things that can genuinely be traumatic. I know this. The reason I'm saying that is because I know this is going to be mostly just you're on your own survival type situation. Just want to make sure people are aware to check off their man next to him as well.
So we're going to do a blood sweep first. So all a blood sweep is I'm going to have my mostly clean hands, and I'm going to be feeling through my body and then checking to see if I have blood, if I have obvious bleeding. So first thing we'll do is we'll come through our arms, check, under the armpits, check. I can check down my chest, down the armpits, get under my kit and my gear. If you can get under your layers, get under there, check. Reach back as far as you can, check for that blood. Down through, of course, right there we have the old fake wound from the filming. Check the back, see if I have blood, and I'm checking to see if I have any blood. Often,
he didn't say head as well. You check your head as well, obviously.
Times, whether it be a stab from a tree, gashing your arm or something like that, if you have any of that immediate bleeding, that's something that you're going to need to take care of. So that's going to bring us right to taking care of wounds. So let's talk about different ways to take care of wounds in a combat survival environment. So when it comes to our combat health and keeping wounds clean, the biggest thing is that if we have some type of bleed, if we're shot, if we cut ourselves, we need to, of course, control as best as we can.
The quality of this video, it literally blows my mind how fucking good this is. Just the way he's presenting the video like he's like on TV, like a professional on TV presenter. And it's like, this is at the same level as like Bear Grylls when it comes to like presenting. In my opinion, I think it's the genius of this is brilliant.
Best thing you can do in survival situations, if you have some type of bandage that you should be carrying on you, get that pressure on it. If you're unable to control that pressure, of course, a tourniquet is going to be your last option. There are a million different compression bandages that can apply that pressure to help that wound coagulate. The point is, a lot of people are trained to just go straight to that tourniquet, but in a survival situation, when you apply that tourniquet, if you apply it tight enough to cut off circulation, it might not always be the best option because you don't know when that survival situation is going to end. You can't keep a tourniquet on for that long. With that being said, if you do need to apply the tourniquet, and this is where all my medics are going to cringe, to stop that blood flow, what we typically teach, or what's been taught to me both civilian side and mil side, is that you apply the tourniquet to stop that bleeding because you can't stop it otherwise. Once you're able to, within the hour, to stop and reassess that wound, you're going to very slowly back that windlass off. Start taking the pressure off to see if that bleeding continues. If you're able to back that windlass off all the way without any bleeding, without any clots blowing out, that's when you can then apply a pressure bandage over that because you likely didn't need the tourniquet in the first place. But the point is a tourniquet is more than likely in a survival situation going to be a death sentence for that particular limb.
It
so
is, yeah.
Use them when you absolutely have to.
They are a last resort.
But understand there are other ways to stop bleeding, and oftentimes they can be stopped that way unless it's like some crazy arterial bleed or something like that.
Yeah.
We talked about pretty intense ones. Understand that if you break a leg, you can splint it. An easy way you can splint it is if you come over here.
What's this backpack he's got there? It's the metal frame on it. The reason I'm asking, actually, this is a good shout out to ask a request of people. For the past 10 years, my like day sack when I'm going out for a light hike, not like multi-day hike, just like a day hike, I got myself an LL Bean. Shout out to Maine in the US when I was living there. I went to LL Bean in Freeport, which is one of the coolest shops ever. and I got myself a backpack. It was actually originally for when I was at university. I went to University of Southern Maine or USM, and I noticed on my hike yesterday that the strap's starting to tear on it. So I knew I need a new day sack. I was thinking of, this is a complete tangent, but I do want some recommendations from you guys. I did start looking at, because I'm a massive, massive fan of Fjallraven, I think it said. The Singi 28 Dark Olive. But if you've got recommendations for like a day sack, I'm not talking like a hiking backpack. That's something, you know, like I use my military bag for stuff like that, even though I should probably upgrade that as well. In fact, give me both. Got recommendations for a hiking bag and a day sack? Let me know in the comments.
Though I'm going to make a little bit more noise and telegraph where I've been, I can do something as simple as taking a branch and if, say, I broke my leg right here, I'm able to get 2 of those and then wrap up and down and underneath my leg to immobilize above and below the joint. That's going to be extremely helpful, and then something that I can do expediently. You might not always have a splint on you, so understand that there are various improvised methods that you can use to keep yourself healthy. So we've talked about a lot of kind of more intense wounds. Understand that combat medicine is a very wide topic, and I'd highly recommend you take more time on it. This is simply a primer. But what's more important is that we keep ourselves alive long-term through hygiene, through just generally taking care of yourself. So how do you do it in a combat survival environment? Let's talk about it. Biggest
I think a lot of this, even though he's specifically talking about combat survival, can be applied to just regular survival. If you're on a hike and you roll your ankle and it breaks, if you slip on a rock and fall and get some genuine damage, you should always have a med pack in your bag. I have one in there. It's got your usual stuff. It's got a couple of band-aids, plasters. It's got an Israeli bandage. It's got a tourniquet for last resort. It's actually got a splint in there as well. It's got a what they call little triangle bandage to hold your arm up if you hurt your arm. It's got antiseptic wipes and some paracetamol and some ibuprofen, little things like that that can make a massive difference. Make sure you're keeping a little bag like that, and make sure it's labeled, whether that be a nice red bag or if you're using military pouches like we did in the military. We would use obviously a classic green pouch, and we would put some sort of big X on it, big like first aid cross, so that if someone went in your backpack and was looking for it, they'd be able to identify it very, very easily.
It's going to be your feet. You're going to be traveling, you're going to be trying to get back to where you're going, to get back home, or to get back to somebody who can help you. So if we don't take care of our feet, well, you're not going to get very far at all.
Yeah.
Before we start on that, important note, like I always talk about, if you're lucky enough to have a rifle or some type of weapon, make sure you always keep that within arm's reach. That's going to be a standard that you always be held to. So I have that moment to stop in order to take care of my feet, whether that be at the end of the day, if I cross a river and I get super wet and I'm in a safe position, I can go ahead and change those socks. So
there's nothing more important than having a spare pair of socks. I'm telling you that right now.
You should always have an extra change of socks on you. I already have a pack video, so we're not going to talk too much about it. Suffice to say, I like to say what my buddy Fife says, who did the same job I did, which is when you know a lot, you don't need a lot. Because the thing you got to think about is you're packed for combat, you don't have a lot of room for survival gear. So make do with not a whole lot. So I've swapped socks. It's going to be really important, I know it sounds lame, is to keep clean, dry socks on you as much as possible.
Always.
We generally recommend merino wool, some type, darn tough.
Do you know what? I'm still yet to find a really... Recently, I feel like this is really going on a tangent. I feel like the quality of sock brands have dipped dramatically. I'll go on a hike with a pair of socks, and after 3 or 4 hikes, they just start deteriorating. The only socks that have managed to last me a long time is I've got some running socks that have just lasted me for ages, and I got them in America. If you got recommendations for good brands for socks, I swear I don't want you to just be like, oh, this is the popular one. Let me know what's actually worked for you. Because for some reason, the quality of the socks these days that are out on the market are horrendous. Not only are they horrendous, you're paying like 40 quid for a single pair. So let me know in the comments if you found any good ones.
Well, there are tons of different manufacturers. Find a good wool sock that works for you. We mostly use Darn Tough.
Darn
On
Tough.
this channel.
What's Darn Tough? I mean, if he's recommending it, let me have a look. Darn Tough socks. Interesting. Oh, I've seen these before. Darn Tough. Well, they got some nice socks as well. They got some. This, I think, 30 quid for a pair of socks. It's just frustrating, isn't it? How expensive they are these days. £30 for a pair of socks. I mean, come on. You can get them on Amazon for 25 quid. That's a bit better, I guess. But the thing is with me is when I'm buying socks, I want to buy like 3 or 4 pairs. You're spending like 100 quid on socks. I get it. Socks are important, but it's just such a small amount of fabric for that price.
Micah, what do you use?
The Costco Merinos.
They work. The point is, once we've swapped our socks, we probably have maybe 2 to 3 pairs in a combat pack, maybe at most 1 extra pair. So you need to make sure that you're rotating them. Now, oftentimes these socks will be wet. So the question is, how do I dry them? There's a couple different ways. If we're in a really cold environment, it's actually not too difficult. You're just gonna hang them off the edge of your pack and you're going to let them freeze dry. So on this pack right here, I can simply tuck them through the loops, tighten that down as I'm going. Those are going to freeze dry, and that's going to, then I can just simply knock off that ice and they're gonna dry quite quickly. In a dry environment, that's gonna be fairly easy, just hang them off your pack. In a wet environment is where
We used to do that all the time in the Marines. You're drying off your socks, you put them on your shoulders or you put them on your backpack. That's like a very, very common thing.
it becomes more difficult. So in a wet environment, what I typically will do is I'll take my socks and I'm going to tuck them into my layers right here.
Oh.
For my guys who attended, so you know what I'm talking about. And if
That's
you
a
need to
cool
get them
idea.
little deeper, and what you're gonna do is you're gonna rotate them against your body heat, and that will allow your body heat to dry them out as you're moving. You want to tuck them off enough so that they're not exposed to the elements, but that will dry out your socks fairly quickly. So after about an hour of walking, I'll swap them. So I'll get those parts that were against my body on the outside. I'll tuck those parts that were on the outside on the inside.
People underestimate how important foot maintenance is. You know, how to look after blisters, how to clean your feet, how to make sure that they're dry at all times. You don't want any sort of trench foot. You don't want any sort of cold weather injury because your feet are cold and wet constantly. And this is why boot maintenance is so important. When you're out of the field, you got to maintain your boots. Like, I get it when you're in the start of training and they're absolutely hammering you about polishing your boots and you're like, why? You understand it's because it's giving you a foundation of boot maintenance that is so fundamental to self-admin.
And then I'll continue to move. I guess you're stuffing your pants. A couple other really important things when it comes to foot care. Make sure if you have the time, when it's at the end of the day, or if you're sleeping during the day, whatever you're doing for your evasion, which we talked about in the last video, that you do take off your boots and that you massage your feet. You 100% need it. It will keep...
Not only that, just airing them out. Just airing them out. When we were in the field, sometimes you just take your boots and socks off and just air your feet out. It kills a lot of bacteria. It stops a lot of moisture. Get them nice and dry. Leave them out. If you're near a fire, even better. Take your boots and socks off. Let them dry by a fire, your feet. Sit there and chat. It's so important.
blood flow, keep them really healthy. So again, change those socks, massage those feet. It's going to go a long way.
Massive.
Next, let's talk about how we don't become all gross and grody, because I know a lot of you guys need like 5 showers a day. So how do we survive? Best way is going to be, if you have wet wipes, those are easy. Those can work. You can also use leaves that are wet. Use those to scrub your body. You can use loamy soil, so it's like that aerated soil kind of right on a riverbed. You can get into there, especially if you don't have soap, and most guys I know aren't carrying soap, and you can scrub your body with that. But the thing that I often have used is an air bath. That works wonders. So all you're gonna do is strip down, which we're not gonna do right now because who knows who's watching, and you're going to take some time in the sun. You're not gonna be sunbathing. What you're doing is allowing those wet areas of your body to dry out. You're allowing the UV rays from the sun to kill any of that bacteria that's bad on your skin or anything like that. It's gonna do a lot. Typically, anywhere from about 20 to 30 minutes is gonna be pretty good. An hour is recommended. Oftentimes in a combat survival situation, you don't have that much time, but this is going to be situation dependent on how far you are. If you're...
So there's multiple things here going on actually when it comes to self-admin. Teeth are important. All this, it depends on how long you're out there. I noticed that quite a few lads were putting in, do you know the little, you can get, instead of toothpaste now, you can get little tabs instead, like little tablets that can be used as toothpaste. I saw a lot of lads just throwing 1 or 2 of them in their survival tin so they could throw it on the teeth, use the fingers, or if they've got a brush, using a brush to clean their teeth because it's so important. And I know that sounds really unnecessary, especially if you're on escape an invasion, but it is. Also, when he's doing stuff like this, when he's getting himself out in the sun, or even better, if there's a river nearby, getting your clothes off and jumping in that river and giving yourself a wash. What's really important is that you're also hanging up your clothes, if it's not raining, hanging them clothes up and letting them air out without your body in them. So important.
Super far away, just out there, and number 1 priority is survival. Yeah, get those air baths in. But the last thing I'll talk about is going to be teeth.
There you go, so, talk about teeth. Some pines.
If you don't have a toothbrush, what you can do is you can take the green alive twigs, peel that bark off, and all you're gonna do is nibble on the end to fray it, and that will make a nice little toothbrush for you.
And like I said, I don't know if anyone else does this, but in the Royal Marines, we would make a little tin about this big, right? And it would be full of your bare essential survival stuff. So you would have water purification tabs. You would have some wire in there to make a snare or something. You would have some small scissors in there. You might have a bit of fishing line and a hook. You would have a condom to store water in. Really, really good implement to store water. Some people would have them little tabs of toothpaste in there. Some people would have... what else? A tampon, because if you're starting a fire, the amount of wool or cotton, that comes off a tampon is like crazy. So it's really good for starting a fire. They have a little lighter in there. And that little tin, what we would tape up so it was completely waterproof. And we would actually sew it onto the inside of our jacket so that it's always there permanently. And if anything ever goes bad, it doesn't fly out because it's not a pocket. It's sewn into your jacket. And so if you needed it, it was there, but it was an emergency.
You can use to scrub your teeth. And that works really, really well at getting into that plaque off, into the tartar. Long term, it's not great, but understand that people throughout time and history have used chewing sticks all throughout their life. So make sure that you keep your teeth healthy. It might seem a little bit ridiculous, but tooth decay, gums, all that stuff really matters. For your gums, what you need to do is you're going to take your finger and you're going to vigorously rub your gums like you're doing coke or something like that. And it's going to help that blood flow when it comes to your gums. So again, take care of your teeth, take care of your body. That will benefit you long term.
Yeah.
Now, you're taking care of your body, you're going throughout nature, suddenly we see a huge storm brewing on the horizon, and we know we have a big storm coming. It's coming to the end of the night. We probably need to get some type of shelter down, because if there's one thing that humans cannot do, it's we really can't just brave the elements without any type of shelter over our heads. So let's talk about shelter.
Mike, what do you do for your ass?
Wet wipes if you have them. Leaves, there's a lot of leaves that are really soft. Find a soft leaf, as long as it's not shiny. Shiny leaves are typically poisonous or some type of oil in them that's going to react badly. So use those soft leaves, scrub your ass.
That's an interesting I've not heard that before. Not a shiny leaf, because it usually has oil or some sort of it'll irritate you in some way. That's a really there's sometimes very generic statements when it comes to foliage and stuff to look out for. And for the most part, obviously there's it's a spectrum, isn't it? But for the most part, that's actually rings true. Kind of like if you cut a plant and the sap is like a milky color, usually stay away from that. That's not really that good. There's like little indicators that are good. I like that. If the leaf's shiny, then it's probably got some sort of oil on it that's going to irritate you. I like it. That's really good.
Use water. Like if you find a river, scrub it, man. Keep it clean. You don't want that gross swamp booty. Shelters. So there are a million different ways to build shelters.
How far are we in this video?
And to be clear,
we're not even far. I've been waffling on for so long. I don't know. I might have to break this up into two.
I'm teaching you two today. So first up is going to be Ranger Diamond. That's made with poncho. You should always have a poncho with you, which is why we teach it. It is a wonderful shelter. Next up will be a natural shelter, i.e. finding something in nature that's going to fit the bill.
We in the Marines carry a bivvy. It's just a sheet It's just a tarp, basically, and they're so good. They're so good.
A couple things you need to think about when it comes to a shelter. First off, how close are you to enemy forces? If you're closer, you need to think about being as far away from those forces as possible. You want to be low to the ground. You want to ensure that you're going to blend into the background. And another thing is, like, don't skyline yourself. So don't, like, have your shelter on the most prominent peak. Like, if we look out here at this beautiful landscape, imagine if I just had my shelter just right out in the open on the top of a peak.
Very basic on, we learned this at the very, very start of training, why things are seen. Silhouettes. You don't want yourself on the silhouette. You don't want your silhouette on the very top of a mountain or anything like that. It's so easy why things are seen. There are very rarely straight lines in nature, very rarely. And so you want to be breaking up when it comes to foliage of camouflage, breaking up them outlines of your body, all this basic stuff.
Really cool views when I wake up. At the same time, really exposed to wind and really exposed to enemy eyes. And of course, if at all possible, try to have yourself close to a water source. You
Really like his jacket. Anyone let me know what his jacket is?
need to be getting water, so that is going to be a consideration. Of course, the closer you are to water, the closer you are to possibly enemy forces, because who needs to go to water, Micah?
Everybody.
Absolutely
Everything.
everybody. And even if it's even if something's happening in your country, in the US of A, in Arma 3, and everyone's fighting each other, and there's somebody down there getting water, and they don't know you, and they report you to the wrong enemy force, and boom, that's a bad day for you. So, starting off with our Ranger Diamond, it is not what you'd call a strict evasion shelter, but it does blend with the background. It is very low to the ground, and the biggest thing about it is it's going to be big enough for you and your gear. So if you have more people, you can build a bigger Ranger Diamond with more ponchos and have a nice little house party. Don't do that. Typically, this is going to be used for a one-man show, so I need to have it fit my pack, my rifle, and me comfortably. It needs to be quick to put up and quick to take down. And then
This is a good way, a good segue into, make sure you learn your knots. Make sure you're practicing your knots and you learn how to do quick release knots and stuff like that, because the moment you need to get out of there quick, if you're messing about with some sort of elaborate knot, then it's ridiculous.
this case, like we talked about before, when you know a lot, you don't need a lot. So all the stuff that I'm going to build it with is stuff that can be used for many, many other things. So first things first, you should always have a line kit on you. This is going to be paracord that the inner core has been stripped out of. You're going to burn the ends. Typically, I do about 6 to 8 lines. If you're going to have a 12-foot one and a 6-foot one. These are daisy chained together to keep them stored. You shouldn't just throw your lines into your pack without daisy chaining them in some form or fashion.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
We have our lines.
Again, know your knots.
We have our poncho right here. So the cool thing about the poncho, it can keep you out of the rain. We have the nice little hood right there. It can be used as a pack cover. And
I gotta get me one of them ponchos. It's sick. So much better than having a waterproof jacket, because you can throw it over your Bergen as well, can't you, backpack?
it can be made into a shelter. So, in preparation for making it into a shelter, I'm going to go
Give me
ahead,
recommendations
I'm
for
gonna
ponchos
cinch
as well down below.
that hood down.
This is just going to be comments full of kit recommendations, and you know what? I'm all for it.
Tie that little guy off. And then we're going to go ahead and get this prepped up. If possible, I want to make sure that I am in an area that's relatively flat. You don't want to be sliding, because I'll tell you what, if you build your shelter on like just a straight slope, you're going to slide as you sleep, and it's a bad time. So try to have it relatively flat, relatively clear if at all possible, while still being relatively hidden in a forest or something along those lines. So if you'll come in right here, Micah, the first
I
thing...
just want to say as well, this is obviously at a point where you're not necessarily being chased. If you're being chased, I ain't putting shit up. That's just being draped over me and I'm falling asleep. Do you know what I mean?
We're going to start with is going to be a girth hitch. So I'm going to take my line, going to make a nice little bite into it. I'm going to take my bite, I'm going to put it through the poncho. I'm going to take those two ends, I'm going to pull them through that bite.
There you go.
See, you don't have to pull one end. It's nice and cinched down.
Simple. Know your knots,
Then going
guys.
to do the same on all 4 corners. Take that, put it around my finger. I have that bite right there. That bite is going to go through the eyelet. Everybody see that? Now through that loop that I just put through.
You can tell he's done training with groups of people, because he's like, everybody see that?
Through that bite I just put through the eyelet, I'm going to take those 2 strands, I'm going to pull them through. Once I've done that and I tighten those down, that will cinch down in that eyelet. Those aren't going anywhere.
Yeah.
And get it about chest height. And there are many ways to make the Ranger Diamond. I suppose we'll start with the simplest way. Wrap it around right here. Okay, taking my end, going over that line. Gonna pinch that right there. That allows me to work with this. I can create that bite, and I can pull that running end.
There you go, quick release knot.
Now, this is still gonna slip, so what I'm gonna do in addition to that is I'm gonna do what's called a safety. So I'm gonna take that big old standing end that I have right there, I'm gonna wrap it around and pull another bite through for what's called a winter hitch right there. So that allows me to then easily undo it. So the whole point of these knots is...
It's not about just easily undo it, it's also about undoing it at a speed. Like if you need to get out of there ASAP.
Is that you need to be able to put them up and take them down in a cinch. So you don't want to have because if you don't know to knot, tie a lot, and that will work. However, we want to try to preserve our lines. So if we're able to use knots that work well, then we can make sure that we can easily take this down if we needed. And also, we can not destroy our lines in order to take them down. So I'm going to straighten it right to this tree right here. Go ahead and pull that taut. Get that a little lower. 45 to a 60-degree angle on that is going to be good to go. And I'm going to do the same hitch, just a trucker's hitch. Pin, especially when it's under tension, make sure that you pinch that guy. And then make sure you pull that safety through, because otherwise that loop will come undone. Boom.
Practice your knot, guys.
Okay,
Basic
so we have
stuff.
our first two up. From here, it's going to be a simple affair of pulling this taut from here. So the nice thing with the Ranger Diamond, it can be made anywhere. Off boulders, off vehicles, off trees, off whatever you need to make it off of. And you're just going to improvise with whatever is going to get you that angle that you need. So in this case, we don't have a tree right here, so what can we possibly use? We can use down logs, we can use our packs, many different things. In this case, we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab another log in order to keep this weight down. The nice thing about something movable is then I can put it where I need it to be. So once we have that other side down, we're simply going to string out the other side. Now on this side over here, we do have a lot more to work with. So I can simply, if at all possible, I want it in that same angle coming from the center. You might not always have that. That's totally fine. You know, a little off kilter is going to be okay. Easy, nice little shelter right here. Take my pack. Go ahead and put it inside. This is actually pretty nice, so we'll take a little nap right here. Is that okay, Micah? We've been filming for a while, man. Now, we can also make this lower to the ground. So if we have a lot of rain coming in, we can get this thing even lower. We get the sides lower. If you have snow, you can also pack up snow. You can pack up mounds. You can pack up anything. There are a lot of ways to modify the very simple Ranger Diamond, but as you can see, it works quite well. I have lived in these for a really unfortunate amount of time, and I can't recommend them enough. They do work.
The unfortunate amount of time.
We talked about a shelter we can build with something we have. Let's talk about finding a shelter. See, the nice thing, Micah, how long did it take me to take down?
I looked away for like 10 seconds.
So that's the nice thing about it being a kind of more combat expedient shelter. It's very quick to take down. You can pack that away in your pack quite quickly. If you really were to hear a helicopter or for some reason you need to get away, you could definitely do it when it comes to the Ranger Diamond. Ready? Okay, so I've had a moment to take my breath. I've taken down my Ranger Diamond. I've pulled my lines off. Now what I've done is I line them all up. I'm going to daisy chain them up to make sure that I'm taking care of my stuff.
This aligns with Know Your Knots, but stuff like really Bobby basic stuff like this makes your life so much easier in the military, and in civvy life. Like you're messing about with the kids in the forest and they want to build something, and you get a bit of string and they want to tie something. It's so basic. Get yourself. What I would recommend, okay, if you want to learn this stuff, go to Home Depot and get yourself a piece of wood. Like a what's, I don't know what it's fucking called, like a round kind of bat-looking piece of wood, and screw it onto something, and get yourself a bit of climbing rope, a bit of paracord, different thicknesses of different ropes, and get yourself a book on very basic knots. And just every now and again, when you're bored, late at night, you're doing nothing else, you're having a couple beers, maybe you're watching this, Just pull that bit of kit out and just practice a few knots while you're watching TV. It's so basic, but it just makes your life so much easier. It really does. And that goes for a lot of stuff in the military. Learning how to maintain your... You need to look after your boots? All right, put on a video like this or get out in nature, listen to an audiobook or something. Just clean your boots up, make sure they're nice and clean, give them a good polish, take the laces out, maintain them, really give them some good love. All your equipment, doing the basic stuff like this, prepping, very fundamental outdoors knowledge is leaps and bounds when it comes to it. Puts you leaps and bounds ahead of people who don't practice this stuff. It's so basic and it is so good.
So to daisy chain,
I can't
my lines are at the same length.
Talk about it enough, honestly.
When hold on to that, I'm gonna do an overhand loop. So the lines are going over. Everybody see that? Then I'm going to, with my little fingers right here, grab that, pull another loop through, reach through the same direction every time. I'm simply going to pull that loop through. Now, once we get to the end, we're going to change that up a little. So once we get to the end right here, instead of pulling a loop, I'm just going to pull all those strings out. That makes sure that it doesn't come undone inside my pack. Then I can simply undo that. So one more time for you guys.
Easy.
Overhand loop, pull it through.
Easy peasy.
Overhand loop, pull it through. When you do this enough, you're just gonna get super quick at it.
Bobby basic stuff. I love this. This video is phenomenal, by the way. Phenomenal.
You make a daisy chain. One of the easiest natural shelters you can find is simply going to be a tree well. So whether that be in the snow, whether that be just like right here, we have this big old pine tree right here. I can simply get under the fronds and that will give me a lot of protection from the elements. So simply going to get in here, situate those, and sitting really close to the base of the tree, I'm actually doing pretty good. Not only that, but I'm also pretty camouflaged. But I can also increase that camouflage by doing one thing. So I'll show you guys that right here. So one thing that I can do inside those tree wells right here, underneath the palm tree, to increase the camouflage a little bit more is if you take my poncho, all I'm gonna do is take a line, I'm gonna pull a slip knot. So I'm gonna do that. So I'm gonna do an overhand loop, I'm gonna pull a loop through, and that will cinch down on something. So pull that slip loop through, simply going to capture the hood right here that I have knotted up. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm simply gonna hang that in a branch right above me and drape this over me. I have
Simple.
spent, here comes Mike, he's like, spent years, huh, Mike, living that? Pretty much. So I'm gonna get back into my little shelter. Go ahead and hang this guy up as close to being above my head as possible. Pull a little trucker's hitch right there to get it hung up. Always a trucker's hitch, right, Micah?
Always.
Then, what I can do, especially if I have a little bit of rain dripping down on me, I can get under this poncho. I have spent so much time sleeping in these types of shelters, and they work extremely well. They also increase your camouflage, so Michael will back away a little bit, get further away, and take a look at me.
Look at that. You barely see him.
Last thing to consider is when it's snowing, the snow won't get into the trunk, so you can actually climb down like 2 to 3 feet into this guy. Put that poncho over yourself, line the bottom with it, and you have a really good sleeping arrangement. And so long as you're covering your tracks pretty well in the snow, it's gonna be really hard to find because as you can see, just spanning out right here, there are trees freaking everywhere. They're not gonna search every tree. You guys are idiots. They're gonna be looking for army shelters. They're not gonna be looking for trees. So we just heard a helicopter. We need to get some type of shelter. So we're gonna move right now. I'm gonna find something.
I wonder what camera is using right here. It's like a GoPro or something maybe, or maybe a legit camera. It's probably using like a really good quality camera, to be honest with you.
If I'm not already in the trees,
Let's be honest.
get into the tree line immediately to help block yourself from the sky.
Okay, we're at the exact halfway mark. I think it's a good place to pause it right here as he's climbing under a tree. We'll break it into 2 parts. I will watch the next part tomorrow if you want me to. It's if you want me to. If you like this video and if it gets enough love, I will watch part 2. All right, guys. So let me know in the comments what you think about that. There was a lot of questions I asked you guys in the comments about kit and stuff like that. This video is so good. It's so good. But what I think the main message out of this should be is learn the basics. Learn the basic stuff. Your knots, maintenance, self-care, get good quality gear and look after that good quality gear, because it'll, you know, if you're ever in some sort of shit scenario, whether that be a survival thing, whether that be escape an invasion, which unless you're in the military, let's hope that never happens, whether you're injured on a mountain and you're hiking, whatever, all this stuff is so important. Or it's not that it's important, it's that it makes life easier. Absolutely phenomenal video. I'll leave a link down below to the OG video. Go and check it out. Check out Chug, 10% off, link down below. If you've got recommendations for videos, best place to do it is Instagram, so @originalhuman_. Links down below to everything. Let me know if you're going to the Bushcraft Show 2026 in a couple of weeks. I'll be excited to see you. Other than that, I love you all. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.